Let's get to the All-Star. I'll just run out my 5 because I feel like I'm already here.
All right, before that,
Yes.
we all have the same 4. There's 4 that we all have. I know for a fact. Jalen Brunson. You have Jalen Brunson, correct, starting?
Yes.
Okay. Jason Tatum, Giannis, Cat. Those are the 4 easy ones.
I feel like I do have that.
I think to me there are 3 solidified ones.
I'm with you.
I think it's Cat, Giannis, and Tatum.
I agree.
I think the guards, you can make an argument for Cade and LaMelo starting. You can make an argument for Cade and Brunson, LaMelo and Brunson. I think there's more variation with the guards. I
feel
think
like
the 3
Brunson
front court is locked.
What's
our conversation going to be? Are we going to be who's most deserving?
You're
Who do we
all-star.
think? Because I feel like Cade and Brunson should start, given the fact that they're on competitive teams and they're doing their thing. Cade specifically is leading a team that's probably below average just from a talent perspective, and they're top 6, 7 in the East. With Brunson, he's been arguably the best player. Well, no, he's probably been the second best player on the Knicks, but he's having an amazing season. So I would start them both with the 3 forwards personally.
So Donovan Mitchell, he just fell off statistically too much. Even though the Cavs are by far and away the number 1 seed, even though there's going to be other All-Stars.
I just don't think he's had to be the best player on a given night for them.
I think he's really just deferred to Darius Garland and Mobley a lot.
He's not normal Donovan Mitchell.
Like, he's still fucking efficient as shit,
is.
but he doesn't have to do he doesn't have to do that all the time.
And that's
like
not
their
a bad
clutchest
thing.
player has been Garland in the fourth quarter.
I think, the starters, I don't think it really matters that much to the discussion. I think what really matters is the people that we're going to leave out, because I felt like when I did the reserves and just the All-Stars in general for the West and East, I think there's going to be a lot of snubs. I think in the East,
A lot of great
there
players this
are
year.
more reasonable snubs. Like somebody I don't have as an All-Star is Jaylen Brown.
Neither do I.
I think that's
That
a
hurt my heart.
reasonable snub because his efficiency has been lower than usual. It's below league average, so that makes sense.
I think Tyler Herro's another one.
Tyler Hero is also a player that, he's going to get snubbed. I think Franz Wagner, because of his injury, also is not going to make it.
I agree. Another
So
one.
with me, I think
Is that a Coro?
No, Boncaro.
Oh,
Cade Cunningham, LaMelo, Tatum, Giannis, Cat, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, and Brunson, to me, are locked.
Wait, that's your reserves?
No, he's saying the players to him that are stamped locked. Those
That I feel like they're all stars 100%
Okay.
is Cade, LaMelo, Tatum, Giannis, Cat, Mobley, Jalen Brunson,
I would
Donovan
add-
Mitchell. That's 8.
I would add Dame to that list.
I agree with this.
think
I
Dame
think
is
Dame.
locked?
I think Dame.
Dame has been pretty great.
He's
this
been
year.
very good this year.
So we could just go with our reserves, just one by one, and see which guys that we had.
Let's do it.
Who's your reserve? Your
My
first
first reserve was, in fact, Damian Lillard.
All right, can we do that? And if we all have him, facts. Damian Lillard,
For sure.
Me too.
Given the efficient year he's having, 25 points a game. I think he's
7
shooting,
assists.
Yeah, I think he's shooting about 41% from the 3-point line.
39.
39.
But on 9 attempts.
Yeah, he's been back to regular
Yes.
Dame. So I would have him. I think he's a lock in the All-Star game.
I agree. All right, keep going. Who do you have?
Trae Young would be my second one. I get the whole efficiency thing, but I just think
He's averaging 12 assists.
Yeah,
pretty
that's what I'm
much.
saying. I think he's been probably the best playmaker in the East by far. I think he's been spearheading a pretty good offense. I think his on and off. He's their only real efficient playmaker on the team. He's their heaviest ball handler. And I think for the same way with LaMelo, I think for him his efficiency is bad, but at the same time, his playmaking has just been too godly to keep him off. So I have Trae Young on the All-Star team.
I respect the Trae Young nod. Do we have Zach LaVine?
I do have Zach.
I have Zach LaVine.
Okay, Zach LaVine has been back to Zach LaVine. When he's healthy, this is the player that he is. We're talking about 24 on 52 from the field, 46% from 3 on 7 attempts. And I understand the Chicago Bulls are this inconsistent, ugly team that, we're waiting for them to kick the bucket and tread their players. The way that Zach LaVine's been playing, it's kind of giving the Chicago Bulls false hope that they could be a play-in team and play for something, which is going to be unfortunate to Bulls fans. But LaVine has been a star this year. I think, to me, I contemplated having him as my all-star starter, to be honest with you. He's just been that efficient. But you look at what Cade and LaMelo have been doing. I gave the nod to LaMelo as my starter, but no doubt, I think all 3 of these guys should be locked.
So somebody's left off if you have Zach in.
I don't have Trae Young as an all-star for me.
Is Darius Garland an all-star for you?
Darius Garland's not an all-star for
So
me.
Zach LaVine's over Darius Garland?
Well, again, Zach LaVine's
He's a forward.
forward.
He's a forward. I have him in as my third forward on the bench.
You get 2 guards.
So you get 2 guards. So my 2 guards on the
guards.
reserves are Cade and Donovan Mitchell. My forwards are LaVine, Mobley. I do have Pascal Siakam. I think he's been amazing this season on the defensive side of the ball, averaging 20 points a game. He's been efficient as a scorer as well. But really, he has been the defensive anchor for them. I got some analytics. Shout out to Clean the Glass, of course. He is right now a minus 13.2 points per possession. That's 100th percentile. A minus 4.6 EFG. That's 96th percentile. A point differential of plus 12.7. That's 94th percentile. He's been one of the most effective players in basketball. And really, for the Pistons right now, where they are the 6th seed, he's been their most... Thank you very much for the Pacers. He's been their most consistent player all season long. And I want to give Tyrese his flowers. Recently, he started to pick it up too, but all season, you've counted on Pascal Siakam, and he's been there to deliver. He would be my last forward that I have.
I'll be honest. I had LaVine as a guard. So if that moves over to because then I have that still
like
runs
between
out of
Zach LaVine and Jalen Johnson, who would you put in that?
I had both.
I have LaVine over Jalen Johnson.
I personally would have Jalen Johnson make the All-Star game over Trae Young, and I know that that's a bit harsh, understanding that Trae Young really facilitates the offense, but
why though?
The defensive side, mostly for the fact that he has been, other than like the first 2 weeks of basketball, he's been uberly efficient. I know recently he's been banged up a little bit.
Trae's been their best player though.
He is the best player, but with how many guards there are, that's the reason why I couldn't give it to him either.
When you look at the guards in the East, it's Cade, Lamelo, Trae, Brunson, Mitchell, Dame.
Yes, there's so many guards.
That's about 6 already. Did I mention Garland? That would be 7.
Do you have Garland making it?
I don't see. I think the Cavs have to have 3 All-Stars.
I think they will have 3 All-Stars.
I don't hate that.
I feel like the Cavaliers right now, they're a historically great regular season team, and they're all collectively taking a sacrifice for their numbers not to be, the numbers of what these other players have been. But, like Zach LaVine, I think being labeled as a front court player might save him from not getting snubbed in the All-Star discussion. But if it's like, if I'm just picking between Garland and LaVine for a spot in the All-Star game, I would go with Darius Garland.
I understand the logic.
The numbers aren't that far off. He's averaging more assists. He's been just as efficient, and he's on the best team in the NBA record-wise. I feel like the Cavaliers have to have 3. I don't feel good about snubbing Darius Garland. I just think he's been that impactful for them. With the East, Evan Mobley's a lock. I think for sure. Mitchell is a lock. Jalen Brunson's a lock. Donovan Mitchell, because of his numbers aren't the best, but
he's
how
he's
good
the
he
best
is.
player on the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
He's a lock.
I had some trouble just looking at the on-off numbers because I feel like right now, because we're very early in the season, it could be like all over the place. And I put the point differentials next to every player. Lamelo is plus 11.7 when he's on the court for the Hornets, and it makes sense. He's one of their only great players,
literally.
and when he's not on the court,
Hey, shout out to Mark Williams. Mark Williams has been fucking hooping, bro.
the fuck out of me,
But,
man.
like,
Hopefully he can stay healthy, yeah.
looking at Mitchell, he's a plus 0.2 when he's on
Mitchell,
the
you
court.
said?
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland is -2. Does that make me believe that they're actually better when Garland's not on the court? It doesn't.
They're just amazing
I
all
just
the
think
time.
that exactly their bench is just so much better than other teams' benches that they just fucking roll over these teams, and that's what makes the point differentials look bad. When you have Lamelo, who has like a plus 11 point differential, when he gets off the court, there's really nobody for the Hornets, and they get waxed by teams when he's not on the court. But just what I'm saying is, when you have a better team, these on-off numbers can fluctuate a lot because you don't have a complete team that can overmatch other teams that you're facing.
Cleveland has a top 10 or top 15 net rating of all time right now. So if Donovan Mitchell, the fact that he's even positive as is, because the thing is, they're plus 11, plus 12 as a team net rating. What's he going to be, plus 5, and you're plus 17 with Donovan Mitchell? Like, that would just be insane.
Yeah, because the front court players I have, I feel like it's 6 total that you have to have because,
Can I also say this? I know that the entire Cavaliers team is amazing. Didn't you mention that SGA's plus, his on and off is at like plus 9?
It's
Because they're dog shit without
Agreed,
no offense,
but that's
yeah.
kind of what I'm saying. So it's really, it differentiates between teams and situations.
Cavs have multiple playmakers.
An interesting stat about that is SGA is plus 14.5.
14, excuse me.
Jalen Williams,
J-Dub or Jalen Williams, the
J-Dub,
big...
J-Dub.
Okay.
minus 11.9.
Point differential?
Yes.
That's
Hey,
crazy.
Man, you have multiple playmakers. It makes life a shit
Yeah,
ton
I
easier.
think-
Yeah, because most of the time when SJ comes off, they're leaving J-Dub on the court.
Yeah, I think with OKC, they just really don't have like an initiator. And, they have a lot of talent, but they have a lot of talent that's like, they're not shot creators. They're like more so like frisky defenders and stuff.
Role players.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Cleveland. You can take Donovan out, you leave Garland in. You can take Garland out, you leave Donovan in. You
Ty
have Ty
Jerome,
Like,
Karis LeVert, they all can create for
yeah, you have
themselves
guys that can do it.
and for other players. But the front court, if there's 6 front court players, mine would be Tatum, Giannis, Cat, Mobley, Jalen Johnson, and then it's between Zach LaVine, Jared Allen, and Siakam.
Jalen Johnson over Siakam.
Yeah, I would go Jalen Johnson. I think Jalen Johnson has been.
I think they're
exceptional
having
this year.
similar seasons, so
Yeah.
they'll give the nod to the new guy.
Jalen Johnson's averaging 20, 10, and 5, and his point differential is plus 13.7. 58% true shooting. Jalen Johnson, I feel like, has taken a serious all-star leap. I can hear the argument between him and Pascal Siakam. I think it's very close, but I would give the nod to Jalen Johnson personally.
I agree. I think, my front court players would be Tatum, Giannis, Kat, and then I have Mobley, Jalen Johnson, and Zach. So those would be my 6 guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we're not
who-
too far off.
Who gets snubbed from the guards? That's like the real thing.
For me, the snub would be Trae Young. That's who I believe will be snubbed. I think Trae Young's been great this year, no doubt. With every point you made about Trae Young, what he's meant to them, obviously as a playmaker, we see it every single season, but this season specifically in the East, he's been the best playmaker in basketball. It's just when you look at how many guards there are that are in winning situations that have also been playing some pretty high-level basketball, I think that we've seen Trae Young get snubbed for similar seasons like he's having this year, although the playmaking is at a little bit higher of a level than what he's given us in the past. But again, there's been so many guards that are in so many great situations that I also think that Garland may be a snub too, and that's kind of crazy to think about just because it'll either be Garland or Jared Allen that'll get snubbed. And honestly, either which way you shake it, I'm cool with either one of them making it.
Backcourt's easier to me because you got 2 starters, obviously 2 on the bench, Cade Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and Dame, and then you have LaMelo Ball as a wild card. He's averaging 30, so you really have just one other wild card spot for one of these guards. So are you going to go with? I have Tyler Hero here. I feel like Tyler Hero's having a great
Respect that.
season. Of course, the Jimmy Butler drama that's going on, the terrible season that Bam's having offensively. Tyler Hero's had to be their best player, and he's been their best player. So I think Darius Garland, if you want to put him there, number 1 seed, I get that. I think that's fair. But what Tyler Hero has had to do, there's no other option, right? Like Darius Garland, as great as he's been, he's had an all-star cast around him. Tyler Hero has been efficient. He's giving you 25 and 5. He's having the best season of his career. So I gave Tyler Hero the nod over Darius Garland.
Yeah, I think for me, Cade, Brunson, Dame, Trae, LaMelo, D. Mitch would be my 6, my guards. DG's a snub. I do think, having 3, like he'll have the clutch nod, one of the best players on the best teams in the league. He'll have a couple things, but I just think, these guys, I'll give it the edge because they've been the driving force. I think with Cleveland, it can be Mobley one night, then it's Garland one night, then it's Donovan Mitchell one night. Like, they're just so stacked. I really don't think Jared Allen is a snub. Like, genuinely, I don't think I would put him over Jalen Johnson. I don't think I'd put him over Evan Mobley. I think Zach or Pascal is a cool argument to have him. I think he's just been the 4th best player in his team. He's really good. That's not to say he's not. But for me, the 6th spot has got to be Trae Young. Just like you mentioned with Tyler Hero, what Trae Young has been doing with that team in just terms of being the true one initiator on that team and the playmaking machine that he has been. And I know he doesn't have the efficient numbers, but he doesn't have a Eric Spo or a defensive minded team. This is a team that runs solely off Trae Young being an elite playmaker.
I'm cool with that.
If I were to give my all-stars,
You are?
just the starters would be Cade, LaMelo, Tatum, Giannis, and Kat. The bench would be Mobley, Brunson, Mitchell, Jalen Johnson, Zach. And then I have 2 wild card spots. And it's really it's Garland, Lillard, or Trae. One of those guys is getting snubbed.
I feel like Lillard's got to be locked. He's having a crazy season. Let's see. Let's pull up Lillard's numbers.
He's averaging 25 and 7 on 62% true shooting. Like, Damian Lillard's been fantastic.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean he's been fantastic, but
they're 23 and 17.
are they as good as the
They're the 4th
Cavs?
seed.
They're
DG
not.
numbers are similar. He's like the only guy in the 50, 40, 90.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Darius Garland this year is averaging 21 and 7, 63% true shooting. So I feel like it's hard. One of these 3 dudes are gonna get snubbed though.
Unfortunate.
And but you don't think there's an argument for Jared Allen over Jalen Johnson?
Nah, I think
at all?
I think new kid on the block, second best player in the
No,
Hawks.
I know he's a new kid. I'm just talking about like their impact.
See, but I've said this. We said it right before the show started. Just because you're the new kid doesn't necessarily mean they'll give you the All-Star nod. The Kings were
I
two
think
seed, and Sabonis and Fox didn't make
but
it.
they weren't new kids on the block.
But they were new to dominating the league.
Fair.
Dominating.
I do think Jalen Johnson's had a better season
I think he's
than
more
Jared Allen.
impactful than Jared Allen.
Yes, because of the situation around him. He kind of has to be. You know, he's the second best player in the team. You know, he's the second best creator. He's one of the best playmaking wings in basketball.
He is.
You know, he's also great in
So
transition. You know, Jared Allen, I feel like he's great defensively, but you also have Mobley. I feel like offensively, he relies a lot on D. Mitch and Garland. That's not to say there's something wrong with that, but he does a lot. Like, he relies on them guys to get him going. With Jalen Johnson, it's like him and Trae Young.
His role's bigger.
Yeah.
And I understand.
I mean, I feel like for me, between Trae, Damon, Garland, I think Trae is the locked-in player of those three.
Over Dame?
He's averaging 12 assists per game. I feel like that's getting overlooked.
I don't love his efficiency, man.
I
get
yeah.
the 12.
It's fair.
The playmaking is elite. He never will be questioned on his playmaking. I've been waiting for an efficient Trae Young season. I
don't
know
think
that
you're
he's
ever
a
gonna really
small
get one.
guard.
56.5% true shooting. It's not terrible.
I get
Especially
that we
for the
have to
shots he
use
takes.
true shooting. I get it.
Let me see what's
But what
up.
is it? 41% from the field,
Yeah. I mean, he's taking a lot of threes, you know?
34% from three.
Taking a lot of threes. I get it, though. I mean, I wasn't expecting...
And my guy's LaMelo Ball.
I wasn't
He's not
expecting Trae
efficient.
Young to go up here and average, like, 45% from the field, 38% from three. You know, it's just not something he's really done.
He gave it to me once. He should have never did it.
That's what I'm saying. Pause.
You know what I mean,
Yeah.
though. But like you averaged, you had a season where you were 38% from three. I know that it was one time, but
That's what I want.
you had the hype of being this amazing 3-point shooter. And I'm not saying you needed to be Steph Curry. No one was saying that. But 38% from three for your build, for your level, your style of play, I don't think that's unreasonable of me to ask. I know you always have the ball in your hand, but I need you to be a little bit more efficient. Just be a little bit more refined. That's kind of my only critique with Trae. But this season, what he's had to be as a playmaker. I mean, every year of his career, what he has to be for the Atlanta Hawks offense to be as great as it's been. But Jalen Johnson has been a great option for him this year because, again, like Riv mentioned, he can also handle the ball in his own right.
I just feel like it's very difficult for me to snub the leading assists per game leader in the NBA. That's why.
I understand.
Like I know
I'm
the
interested to see when we get over to the West if
Yeah.
you snub some other people.
who are you trying to
Sabonis is leading the league in rebounding right
Let's
now.
get to
Oh,
it.
Sabonis
Let's
is
jump.
he's
Let's
an
jump to the
all-star.
West, man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm just making sure.
Come on, this is our
Just making
guy.
sure.
So I'm gonna snub. I think
I'm so considerate with our.
it really sucks. I don't want to snub Garland, but I really feel like Garland's gonna be the odd man out. Did you
don't hate
hear?
it.
Did you hear what D Mill said about Garland being over LaMelo Ball?
What was the argument?
He said that he deserves to be an all-star more.
The efficiency,
The winning.
He's just been so clutch this year. I mean, like at times when D Mitch is on the floor, like Darius Garland's been the guy they went to.
So we've been talking about a lot of like these other players getting snubbed, but you don't think? I mean, the fan voting is on LaMelo's side.
That's why
a lot.
But no doubt.
Just in
I
like,
think 30 points, you fake got to get in.
do you
But then,
think? Do you think he's a
did
lock?
Bradley Beal get in when he
He
averaged
did
30?
not get in 1 year. No, when he did.
It's kind of the same vibe.
That's nuts.
Kind of the same vibe.
Brandon Miller's averaging 21. This
Not
year.
great efficiency either.
He's
No,
been up
probably
and
not.
down.
No, I'm not saying that to like
Hornets
say he's.
suck.
I know what
It's
you're
just
saying.
he's
He's
kind
got-
of like.
You're saying he's got someone?
I'm
I feel like
saying
you're
you look
averaging
at the
30.
numbers.
He's getting
21.
the highlights. We talked about the one-legged threes.
I don't mind
versus
LaMelo getting
40%.
in.
I don't
gonna
mind
get
it
in.
too. It's just there's a lot of like. I
Brandon
think
A lot
Miller's
of
also
kids
been
look
on and
at
off
up
the
to him
court.
too. Like a lot of kids, you're gonna vote for LaMelo Ball or Darius Garland. They're gonna go with LaMelo Ball.
so. For you, if you had to vote for one, LaMelo or Darius Garland, who should be in the All-Star game, who would you vote for?
it's tough.
That's a tough ass question.
What do you value? You know, you're gonna value the guy that's gonna give you 30 in highlights. I mean, Garland can give you highlights too. I'm not saying he's not. He's obviously.
It's so
you know.
tough because LaMelo's in such a dog shit situation. But I would value the winning more. Like, what are you doing for me? What value are you bringing to a championship level team or a contender? And what DG is doing with Cleveland, it's been pretty impressive.
Like if LaMelo was having this type of season, and it was kind of like what Cade is doing, where like
Oh, he's a
they're
lock.
like respectable,
starter.
like they're like competitive.
Maybe.
Then he's a locked-in starter. I think he's gonna
never
be
Cade,
locked in an All-Star game regardless.
That's why I think Cade's a locked-in starter.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I feel like LaMelo's gonna be in an All-Star game regardless because of fan vote. But like
I mean, if he doesn't get,
between
he's,
him and Garland, I just like if I'm just level playing field, LaMelo, Dame, Trae, Garland. I feel like all those guys have been more valuable to their teams than LaMelo.
Dame, Trey, Garland.
Yeah, it's just unfair to LaMelo because
They've been losing because the team is dog
it's
shit.
just so bad.
Like if LaMelo, I don't think he would be as good as like Darius Garland how he fits on Cleveland. Same thing with like the Bucks and Giannis, but they would still be winning with him.
Excuse me. LaMelo has to play this way. There's really no other consistent
If he's
guy.
not taking 25 shots a night,
They don't have
they're
a
cooked.
chance.
It's awful. Like the offense is awful.
It's unfortunate. He'll get the bad team vibe. It's unfortunate.
I'm not throwing a slight at Brandon. I think Brandon has the talent to be great. He's not there yet because of the inconsistency. 1, 2, he has struggled with staying on the court this season too. Now Mark Williams back in the lineup. I mentioned that preseason talking about the Hornets. I think Mark Williams is talented when he's on the court.
He's worse
back,
than Brandon Miller.
and he's showing it. And
Injury-wise,
exactly
both,
right.
but yeah.
Exactly right, though. He has been unable to consistently stay on the court. Their big three of LaMelo, Brandon, and Mark Williams has failed to stay healthy consistently. That includes LaMelo. But this season, it's solely relied on what can LaMelo Ball do night in, night out. And obviously, it's going to lead to inefficient basketball when all the attention goes your way, which is why I would still say who means the most. It's LaMelo Ball.
Because of all the players
Jordan Poole's
here,
been pretty efficient in Washington.
Where's Jordan Poole in this conversation?
Unfortunate,
pushed
but
it.
because of all the players,
Like 4
LaMelo
wins.
is by far the least efficient player. Like LaMelo.
Oh, yeah.
At first,
He's shooting 33% from three, correct?
Yeah,
On
now
13
Might be
attempts. I think it's 33
Take
on
some
13.
crazy fucking
it's
threes.
33.6% on 13
Oh, so
attempts.
34.
42%
Take
from
that.
the field.
You need
You will
34
take
on
34.
13?
You will
You
take
kidding me?
34.
Ah,
That's terrible.
that's awful.
Yeah.
But again, it's due
No,
to
I get you.
situation.
I'm with you. I'm
like
with
they
you.
Trae
have
Young
no
shot
choice.
34.
I don't think him jacking up 13
No,
threes.
OD. 34
like-
on 13.
I don't think him jacking up 13 threes a night is due to situation. He could definitely get more paint touches.
I guess.
There are some threes that he just takes like that are just
Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree.
Just for a
very
vibe.
bad
I
shots.
agree.
Just for a vibe. You just pull up.
It's like a Bradley Bill's 30-point per game season.
Yeah, you're
With
gonna
Russ?
see one of them. He was not an all-star.
Was he averaging 30 at the All-Star break? Oh, he's probably
Yes.
close. Probably like
It was
20.
30.5 and then
He was
31.
averaging. He was balling that year.
I'll be honest. He was pretty efficient. 48, 34,
Was this with Russ?
88 from the free throw line. I think the first one, which one? I don't remember which one it was. But
Whatever first season he was averaging 30.
obviously, he's taking a lot more twos. So, it's a different game. Yeah. LaMelo, I think he gets in for me, though.
What was that conversation we were having on Twitter? That boy nice.
That boy nice,
That boy
man.
nice.
That's all I care about,
yeah,
really.
that
when
boy
I talk,
nice.
when
That
I
boy
when
nice.
I watch LaMelo, I have fun watching
Some
him
guys
play.
get that boy nice tag.
You know who else I have fun watching play, and I almost considered putting him in my All-Star ballot? Jalen Green. I swear to God, I tried it.
No, you're nuts.
I couldn't do it.
Hey, bro, after this, 7-game
We needed a rocket, and I don't know if we're gonna have a rocket in the All-Star game.
Here we go.
Bradley Beal, the first year he averaged 30, he didn't make the All-Star game. The
Yep.
very next year, he made it when Russ was on the team. That year, the Wizards, his first year where he averaged 30, the Wizards were 15th in offensive rating. The Hornets are 29th in offensive rating.
I'm
this year.
hearing Bradley Beal got snubbed, man.